What's going on, everybody? Chaseontwowheels here in front of Mountain Motorsports in Roswell, Georgia, and here we have Suzuki's 2024 GSX S1000GX Plus. It might get the award for the worst name on a motorcycle to date. But guys, it is a first ride today. I'm going to take this thing out for a spin for a first impressions video. And at the end of the video, stick around because I'm going to decide if this thing is a purchase or a pass. It's got that K5 Gixxer engine. This thing better be good. It's first ride. Let's see what it looks like and let's see what it sounds like. Sounds like a Gixxer to me. Oh, you can get 10% off Cardos if you use code C2DubCardo in the link in the description. Now you know. Alrighty, my friends, that is what it looks and sounds like. Now, we're going to jump to an ad real quick so we can get some gas money, and then we will be on this thing.
Did you guys know that the flavored air category is becoming the leading alternative for vaping and smoking? It's a whole new movement towards better habits, and it's led by our sponsor for today's first ride, FUM. So FUM is an award-winning flavored air device that allows people to swap out their bad habits for a better guilt-free alternative. And as somebody that has had breathing issues in the past, having asthma as a child, I love partnering with these guys to help people swap out those bad habits for something way better and fun to play with. Y'all know how much I love magnets, and FUM's got them dialed in perfectly. It's the ultimate fidget-friendly flavored air device with adjustable airflow and satisfying magnetic snap. This thing makes kicking bad habits enjoyable, and it's actually fun to play with. Now, let's talk flavors. Crisp mint and orange vanilla are on point. The mint is refreshingly crisp, and the orange vanilla gives that smooth, creamy finish and is currently my favorite. But you guys don't gotta trust me, just draw through and the flavor, I promise, will speak for itself. And check out that craftsmanship. Real wood, perfectly weighted, and sleek in every way. Plus, no batteries, no nicotine, and no vapor, so you're free to breathe easy wherever you go. So, if you guys are ready to join over 150,000 people who have already discovered a better habit, you guys can go to tryfum.com/2wheels, or you can just scan the QR code if that's easier for you, and use code 2wheels at checkout. That's gonna get you guys 10% off the journey pack. That's tryfum.com with a coupon code 2wheels to get you guys that 10% off. Now, let's get back to the first ride.
Alrighty, guys, thank you guys for sitting through the ad. It massively helps the channel, and I really appreciate it. So, let's get on this thing. Boom, quad lock. All right. So, this bike confuses me. I don't know why it's here, but hopefully as we ride this thing, hopefully it makes more sense. So, let's get on it. Let's get the key on, and let's check it out. All right, so guys, I am 5'10", got a 32-inch inseam, and I have slightly bent legs today. I believe the seat height here is about 33.3 inches, so it is not crazy tall, but it's not crazy short either. The seat being a little thin in the front is helping me get to the ground. Let's get it cranked up. Not too bad. Alrighty guys, we are in C mode, and here's how the modes work. We hit the OK button. So we have C mode, which is essentially the slowest mode. We can go up to B, and we can go up to A, and that changes everything, the electronic suspension, the ABS, like all the stuff. And if we cycle through by hitting, the OK button again, we can even change the suspension right there. And it's a semi-adjustable suspension, so that's pretty cool. So we will start out in C mode or rain mode, and we will go from there. Let's get it going, guys. Also, some of you guys might know that the team and I are totally giving up on YouTube alerting you guys that we are putting content out. So if you guys want to join our newsletter, it's down in the description below. We will let you guys know weekly what's going on with the channel, so we would love to have you guys subscribe over there. Check it out in the description, and otherwise, let's get her going, fam. Is the Kona gonna cut me? Whoa, LF? What the hell was that? I just got an LF indicator. I hadn't seen that before. Alrighty guys, 2024 Suzuki GSXS 1000GX. So there's the GSXS 1000, there's the GT model, which I've done a first ride on, and now we have the GX. They all have the same engine. It's slightly tuned differently in all the bikes, but I'm really wanting to find out why do we have this motorcycle, and I'm hoping I can do that after we get done with this first ride. All right, guys, it's the first ride, and we got to start out by talking about the body position on this bike. So first off, with the seat, I'm actually surprised because this seat is a little harder than I would have really expected it to be. I feel pretty high up on the bike. My legs are, I would say, mediumly tucked and a little behind me. And then we've got this raised handlebar, and my arms are slightly down and in front of me. Overall, it feels like a slightly sportier position than I kind of started this video expecting. I was expecting more of a touring position where my back is upright, but I find myself leaned over a bit more, so maybe Suzuki is putting this bike into more of a performance category, which would be kind of cool. I'm definitely here for a performance touring bike. I am going to keep an eye on this seat, though, because so far it's not crazy comfortable. Sweet. Glad we got this red light. This Gixxer engine, I know, is capable of far more than C mode. Right now, it feels really lackluster, but, you know, that's the whole point of having that mode. And we will get out of that, and we are now in B mode. We've got a medium suspension setting, and our traction control setting is at 4. C mode did a good job of, you know, keeping all of the power, you know, non-existent, because that way if it's raining or something like that, it's not too bad, but it is pretty lackluster when you put it into that mode. There's more power. That's what I kind of expect out of this K5 engine. Alrighty. So guys, speaking of K5 engine, this bike, just like all the other bikes that's using it, is being powered by the old school K5 Gixxer engine. It is a 999cc inline 4. It's putting out around 150 horsepower and I believe 70, mid-70s on the torque. So, proven engine. It's been in the market for such a long time. From what I understand, Suzuki is slightly modifying it and tuning it differently for these bikes, but all in all, it's the same engine as it's been for, like, I don't know, 20 years or so. Interesting move for Suzuki not to update it. Now, on previous bikes that I've done first rides on, I've kind of gone into more detail about this engine and, you know, trying to figure out why Suzuki keeps updating it, or not updating it rather. I'm imagining that Suzuki's not really putting a lot of time and effort into this engine because they've got a lot of new stuff with their parallel twin and their GSXS 8R and the 8S. I imagine they're spending a lot of their R&D time on that, which is why we are still seeing brand new bikes with the same engine. So I imagine that's where their R&D time is going. But regardless, as far as a city bike, let's talk about how this bike performs. So like I said, you are sitting higher up on this bike. It's definitely that feeling of sitting on top of the bike and not in the bike. And going back and forth doesn't take a ton of energy, but the maneuvering on this bike, it does seem to be I guess the word I would use is precise. It's not heavy, it's not light to go back and forth, but it's measured. It's not gonna do anything you don't expect it to do. I hope that makes sense. I'm trying to figure out how to vocalize it, and it's just kind of weird. I don't want to call it slow, but it's definitely not a fastly agile bike, and if I understand correctly, it's got 17-inch wheels front and rear, so I would imagine it would dip back and forth a little faster than it does, so that was a little surprise for me. It does come in at a weight, I believe, of 511 pounds. It is not an incredibly light motorcycle. Suzuki has never been known for having lighter bikes, but I think for the city it performs really well. It's got plenty of power, as you guys can tell, and I do love the fact that we have a quick shifter up and down on this unit. Makes it super nice to navigate through the gears. We'll talk more about that quick shifter later in the video. As we're stuck in traffic here, it's probably a good time to talk about the clutch real quick in city traffic. A little bit of heavier clutch, so I can imagine if you're stuck in this type of traffic a lot, you're probably going to get your fingers tired a little bit. I wouldn't say it's a deal breaker or anything like that, but it is slightly heavier. You know, getting my feet down to the ground they're tucked up a little more than I expected them to be. And so to get my foot off the peg, I do have to lift up a little more than I expected. Kind of surprising there. I didn't really expect that, but, you know, stuck in traffic, I'm trying to diagnose this motorcycle for traffic use for you guys. Oh, dude, I'm going. There we go. There we go. We made it. Okay. My God, air. Motorcycles for life, fam. Motorcycles for life. Let's get this thing leaned over. Thank God. Your boy needs some air. There's where the bike starts. Do not. Van. Thank you. Other van. Jesus Christ, man.
I just want to ride motorcycles.
Alrighty, guys. So, speaking of how the engine's characteristic it is here on the road, it's definitely that typical inline four feeling, man. You're going to have to rev it out a little bit to get some of the power. Although, I am pretty happy with the mild amount of torque that it has down low. You got to really get on it, but the torque gets spinned up pretty quickly, and it is helpful to get through traffic with that. I'm so used to these more, you know, touring style bikes having some sort of twin in them, which gives you a lot more torque down low, so you got that instant hit of power when you need it. Don't really have that here, but once you start getting into that power band and revving it out a little bit, you really start getting a lot of power underneath you, which is nice. For city riding, I do wish the mirrors were a little more efficient. They are vibrating so much. I'm having a hard time really seeing what's behind me. I haven't really had that big of a problem on my hands yet, or my feet for the vibration, but it's kind of hard. Luckily, I'm in relatively upright, so I can kind of pan left and right and get an idea of where traffic is around me. But mirrors are not doing me a lot of favors when it comes to that department. Alrighty, guys, we are on a touring bike with a 1000cc power plant. The highway should be phenomenal. And because we're getting on the highway, let's see if we can get into mode A. There it is, mode A. That's the full beans mode, everybody. Guys, I gotta find out how fast this 2024 Suzuki GSXS 1000GX goes from 40 miles an hour to 80 miles an hour. And that's thanks to our buddies over at Law Tigers. They're our motorcycle lawyer buddies. Call them if you have an issue on your motorcycle on the road. All right, inline 4, GSXR 1000 engine. We got high expectations. Should we go? Oh my good God. All right, we got to see how fast it'll go. On your mark, get set. Sorry, car. Go. There it is. There's 80. I mean, not the worst showing, but I gotta admit, I really expected to have more power when this thing starts revving out. Also, my God, it is shaking. Let's shift up some gears. Alrighty, guys, so we're here on the highway with the GSXS, or with the GX. Let's just call it that. So far, when I rev this engine out, it vibrates a lot. I'm now going, oh, now I'm stopping on the highway. I'm now going 70 miles an hour in 6th, and I cannot even tell what cars are behind me because there is so much vibration in the mirrors. That is surprising. And the suspension is not feeling great right now. So I'm going to drop this thing actually into, we're in hard setting. I'm going to drop it to what? What can I go to? We're going to change it into the comfort setting and see what it's like on highway. That is going to be the softest suspension setting. That's a little better. Okay, cool. I'm getting a lot of buffeting on my head right now. And I can note that this windscreen is adjustable, but it takes tools to do it. So I'm not considering that an adjustable windscreen. My head is getting hit. My head is... The wind is hitting me directly in my visor and shaking my head all around. I would definitely modify that upwards as much as I can, but right now that's not doing that great. It does have cruise control. We can hit that and hit set down here. It drops speed a little bit, but it gets going there. We love cruise control. It really needs to have that to be a touring bike, so let's rotate the throttle forward to cancel, and that cancels it. All right, I appreciate that. As far as maneuverability on the highway here, you know, it's honestly pretty similar to what it was on how it was on city streets. Nothing really crazy here, and we do have plenty of power to get around traffic if necessary, but I don't know, the bike doesn't really feel that great really revving it out, so not really sure there. Plenty of power for touring on the highway though. Guys, I'm going to finish up the highway thanks to our buddies over at Cardo. If you guys need a Bluetooth communicator, they're the best ones to go with. Let's listen to a montage real quick and I'll be right back. Thank you, Cardo, for sponsoring the First Ride show. Let's get her leaned over, and hopefully she feels a little better leaned over since we're up top on the bike. You know, honestly, right here is the best the bike has felt. Getting it leaned over, there are people right there. We're going to slow the hill down. The suspension in the hard setting, getting the bike leaned over actually feels really nice. So, interesting, I'm getting a feeling like the bike is telling me that it is more of a sporty bike with semi-active suspension that is supposed to be slightly more comfortable than a sport bike. That's what I'm being given so far. So let's talk about the K5 engine a little more now that we've hit on the highway some, guys. And I think I'm going to drop myself into B mode. I gotta let off the throttle and then I can do B. Okay, cool, got it. So, the K5 engine in this bike it's okay. You've got to rev it out a lot to really start feeling it. And then when you rev it out a lot, it starts vibrating like crazy. So, because of that vibration, I don't really want to rev it out. It doesn't feel good at that, but that's when the power is hitting. So, it's at like a really weird spot. And for a touring bike, I've been on the bike for about an hour and 15 now. And I'm actually starting to feel some hot spots in the seat on the sides of the front. So I've been trying to scoot back, but the bike kind of slides me forward and into that position that I'm in and dealing with those hot spots, which is kind of weird because if this bike is supposed to be, you know, a touring focused bike, I should be super comfortable for really long distances, and I'm not necessarily feeling that right now. So the suspension is pretty cool, how it's electronic, and it's been working well. I love the hard mode when you're really getting over on the bike. The bike does feel good there, and the soft setting is really nice as well. So I'm definitely happy with the suspension. That's one of the main things you're paying for with this bike is that semi-active suspension. So I feel like they've done a pretty good job there, and it can automatically adjust and has settings for if you have luggage, and this bike comes with luggage here in the US, and whether you have a passenger or if you're just the rider. So that's really cool. Now, I will say I saw on this bike that we have a Brembo brake, and that got me excited, but from my experience riding around on it, that Brembo brake is not giving me the level of stopping power that I would expect. I'm having to pull that thing all the way to the throttle to really get the level of braking that I want, and it's just really slow to get me stopped. Nothing dangerous. I'm not saying it won't get you to a stop, but I don't know. I kind of came into it expecting a little better braking than that. But, I mean, such is what we're given. So watch this. No cars behind. You know what I mean? Like, for a Brembo, I feel like that's taken a little long. Even though the bike is 511 pounds, I kind of want to come to a stop a little sooner than that. So let's talk about the Quickshifter. The Quickshifter is up and down. It's done a good job of getting me into the next gear, although I will say there's a little lack of oomph after I shift the gear, and when I push into the Quickshifter, it does feel a little spongy. Like my foot presses into it, it presses into more pressure, and then I feel a slight nudge forward, and that's how I know I shifted. It's worked well up and down, but I kind of just wish I had a little bit different of a feeling when I initiated the quick shift. Engine braking is a lot stronger on this bike than I kind of expected, and I'm kind of here for it. I like that. All right, so let's talk about the controls up here, guys. So controls-wise, we have the start-stop on the right side, as well as the hazards and the cruise control. I don't necessarily love the cruise control being over there, but I don't really have that big of a problem with it. I just feel like you shouldn't put the cruise control button there and then the set and resume buttons over here. It's kind of weird. This directional pad has worked okay. I don't love the way it feels, but I'm not really going to complain about it. It's worked totally fine. I do wish I had more tactile feel on all the buttons that I felt. They don't have that satisfying feel when I'm pressing them, but overall they're okay. Wouldn't really complain about them. The grips on the bike are actually pretty solid, and I do appreciate the levers and the texture on the levers, and they are also adjustable. So we love that. Super cool there. Now, this screen, you know, it doesn't suck, but I do think it is a hideously ugly screen. I do not like the way it's laid out. The quality's okay. You know, we're getting into a place with motorcycles now where the quality of a screen, the expectations I have, even of a Japanese mic, are getting a little high. And Suzuki and Yamaha are lagging a little behind. This screen is just laid out in a very weird way. It tells me all the information I need to know. It's got everything there that I need, but I'm just not a huge fan of the way it looks. And then you got to press the OK and then the button to go around, and it's just not incredibly user-friendly in my experience. But obviously, if you buy this motorcycle, you'll learn how to do all that, so there's no real problems there. And I think that's all I've got for up here. I can say I've been able to see the screen totally fine. The sun's been coming kind of in and out of the clouds today, and I haven't had an issue seeing it, so I love that. But guys, we're going to pull off up here and do a little walk around. I know y'all been looking at the bike with that camera car footage, thanks to all of our sponsors. You guys supporting those sponsors directly supports us, so we always appreciate it. Anytime you guys are able to support our First Ride sponsors, thank y'all for doing that. It allows us to have that really cool camera car. So we're going to pull off up here and take a little walk around the bike. I do think the bike looks rather cool, even though I am kind of sad we don't get the blue model here in America since it's, you know, a Suzuki. But that's okay. The throttling is surprisingly easy at low RPMs. I kind of expected it to be a little jumpy here, but I'm not finding that. Alrighty, everybody, let's take a little walk around of the GX. So from photos, I will say this bike looks really big. And then when you get on it and you get next to it, you realize that the seat height does seem kind of low. But look at the ratio of seat height to top of gas tank. You're sitting pretty high up on the bike. So this is the green I was talking about. If you guys look at it in the sun, it's got some nice little pearl in there, which is a really nice green. You don't even notice this until you get it outside and see it in the sun. So I'm definitely here for the green. I do think the blue looks a lot better, and that's the Suzuki colorway. So I'm surprised that we don't have that here. Now, if we compare this bike, I'll try to do a side-by-side. If we compare the GX to the GT, this is what is causing me confusion here. There's a lot of similarities. The GT, you sit a little lower down, it's a little more sportier, but this bike feels really sporty too, and this is what we're all used to in the touring category. You know, this is something closer to a Tracer 9 or something like that. So I'm not really sure why we have the GT. I'd rather us have the GX. But anyway, walking around, those are the Brembo brakes. We've got dual Brembos up there, which is surprising that it's not coming to a stop like I really want it to. We've got the K5 engine, which is, you know, I honestly think Suzuki has a warehouse of those packed to the brim, and they're just trying to put it in every one of their 1000s. We have our exhaust here, and I do got to give a shout out to Suzuki. They give us a low slung exhaust that's relatively tiny, and they black it out. I appreciate the shit out of that. That's awesome. Now, one of the things we don't have that the European model gets is, well, the side bags are typically on it, but we don't get the blue and we don't get the center stand here from what I understand. So that kind of sucks. Touring bikes typically do have center stands, so I would like to see that on this model. But overall, for the looks, I do think it's a fantastic looking bike. Even in the green, I love the front look, with the dual headlights and then the kind of DR rails on the side. Those are really cool. So I do feel like Suzuki's doing a lot of things good here. Now, this is the windscreen that I was talking about. You guys can see you can pop 2 of those out, and you can install the windscreen at different levels. We have it in the lowest setting now, which is kind of strange because if it's a touring bike, if anything, put it in the top to give you wind resistance on the highway, but whatever. That's not my job. I love the looks of the forks, and the suspension's working fantastic. So that's it, guys. That's it. We do have a borrowed tail light. The tail section it leaves a little bit desired, especially compared to how good the front looks, but overall, looks-wise, solid freaking package. I do appreciate that the engine's kind of darked out. It doesn't have any, like, crazy colors. It just kind of blends in down there. So that's pretty decent. All right, I'm going to grab my phone, guys, and I'm going to make some vertical content for our peeps over on Instagram and TikTok. If you guys aren't following us, you definitely should be. We're Chaseontwowheels on TikTok, and we are C2WPics on Instagram. I'm going to make some vids for them, and I'll be right back. Alrighty, my friends, that's vertical content. Go check us out over there if you want to find out what I did. So, all right, final thing. Steering stem lock test, purchase or pass. Who is the bike for? Let's find it out. It's so weird to be able to get on a touring bike without having to step on the side stand. Or not side, yeah, or side peg or whatever. It's kind of weird. I'm not used to it. Alrighty. Steering stem that's not as locked as I expected it to be, but okay. Oh, yikes. Oh, guys. Not a great steering stem lock test. That's going to go in the bottom 40%. And the maneuverability is not bad, but that steering stem lock left a lot to be desired. Alrighty, guys, it's time for everybody's favorite segment, and the whole reason you watch this video is the Suzuki GSXS S1000GX Plus, a purchase or pass? That is a good question, honestly. I'm gonna have to go with pass, guys. Y'all know I'm pretty into touring right now. I love the ADV space, and no, this is not an ADV bike, but it has similarities of an ADV bike, and a lot of ADV bikes are good at touring. And for the $18,499 for this bike costs, there are just so many better options that do almost everything better than this bike. I'm really not a fan of the buzziness of the engine. Don't love that, and that's when I get into the power. And if I'm going to be honest, the engine doesn't really get me that excited on this bike at all. I love the front look. I think that's really cool, but I don't like the green. And I think this screen is designed really not great. I'm not a fan of the way that looks. It tells me all the info I need to know, but I'd like to have a screen that's decent to look at, you know, especially if I've got electronic suspension and all types of stuff to change. We didn't even get into the fact that the actual menu screen, oh, hold on. This is such a big deal that I want to show you guys. When I found this out, I was like, bro, what is happening? Hold on. We're going to get turned around real quick. I know this is off script. We don't typically do this, but it's that big of a deal. Okay. So now we're not moving Suzuki. I can go into the menus. It's trying to hide it from me. Watch this. If I hold OK, it's going to take me into their, like, internal screen. And if I go to ride, bro, this is the menu of, like, MS-DOS. Like, look at this. Now, you can change everything, as you can see, which is cool. But who the hell is going to go in here and change all of this? Like, Guys, it is literally 2024. Like, hire a UI designer and make you a cool screen. And I'm not just talking to Suzuki. I feel like Yamaha is a little behind on that game as well. Guys, we have the likes of Triumph and Ducati and BMW making stuff so good. Like, I don't think it's really that hard to hire somebody that knows what they're doing and design you guys a really cool user interface for your motorcycle screens. Us riders, we have to look at that shit every time we ride 100% of the time. Let's get it designed a little better. This is all my opinion, of course. You're, I'm happy to disagree in the comments. Now, just because the bike is a pass for me does not mean it will necessarily be a pass for you. Everybody's going to value different things. You might not want a comfortable seat to tour on. That is something that I would have to have. But if the person that needs this motorcycle, or the person that's right for this bike, is somebody that does want to tour, because you could just install the screen 2 slots higher and it'd be a little better on wind. But you've got, I think, to want to tour with a very strong subcategory of wanting to ride quickly. This seems very much like a sport bike that is trying to be a touring bike, and this is the closest they could do. I don't really feel like it hits the ball out of the park in either category, but it definitely feels like it wants to be sportier, and that's just not necessarily what I expect out of a touring bike. You can do that. Like, for instance, the Multistrada Pikes Peak does that. But it checks all the boxes for being a touring bike and then is sporty. This is a sporty bike that is trying to check some touring boxes, and I feel like it's falling a little short, which kind of sucks because Suzuki's been doing a lot of new cool stuff lately, and all the Suzuki reviews have been pretty good. And then I ride this, and I'm like, my expectations kind of got a little higher for Suzuki, and this is not necessarily what I expected out of them. But it is what it is. It is only my opinion at the end of the day. Some idiot on the internet. And guys, before we get out of here, shout out to Mountain Motorsports, the dealership that let us borrow this bike, and that's where I'm headed back to now. If you guys want to check them out, links in the description down below. They got multiple locations other than their Roswell location, but every one of their locations has tons of bikes. You can check them all out there. And we'll have a link in the description if you guys want to check it out. We'll say bike provided by. And shout out to Mountain for helping us out doing the first ride videos. Guys, if you got to this point in the video, you made it to the end. Thank you so much. YouTube loves it, and I love it too when you guys make it to the end. It really does help the videos out, so I massively appreciate that. Put OC in your comment down below. It stands for Outro Crew after you like the video, of course. And let me know if you're okay with a touring bike being more sporty than touring, and you're okay to sacrifice a few of the touring aspects to have it feel like that. Just let me know in the comments down below, and I look forward to seeing what you guys think. Am I just off base here, or what? I'm Chaseontwowheels. You guys go out there and ride safe, and I'll see you on the next one. Later, guys.